All right, I'm ready to start. I have to admit, I'm a little, I don't want to say daunted, but I need to get started because there's a little bit of land to cover here. So I'm gonna hand seed about 8,000 square meters of land, which is about 2 acres. And I'm gonna do that with this big bucket.
Hold please, let me scan back and get to
Yep.
your professional seeding bucket.
Yep, this is
Yeah.
the bucket. So this
So-
is filled with clover right now. So I'm gonna just, pick it up and slowly but surely, we will see.
So
Well, got my bucket of clover and I'm ready to get out. So the idea is that we want to put clover in this entire field because this is going to be the food forest. But we need to cover the ground with something for the interim, as well as once we have some trees and everything established, we want to have some ground cover for the future.
because that protects the soil, right?
Exactly, that's the whole idea. It's also good for, it adds nitrogen to the soil, although this is a very rich soil. But I want to be able to bring that to it. But in order to do that, I need to be able to seed 5 kilos of clover into this area. In order to do that, the best thing I found was by hand because everything else spreads too much. All the seeders, getting it done in any other way other than adding some dry sand, which I couldn't find at the last minute when we needed to quickly get this done. So, at any rate, I woke up this morning, decided we were going to do it, and have decided that I have to start now or I will talk myself out of it. So I'm going to get started.
Well, this is the thing that we're quickly learning about Mother Nature is that you can have a schedule as much as you want, but sometimes she says it's going to rain after this and someone's coming to tamp down your field right afterward and you need to get this shit done.
And so the shit's getting done today. So I am rocking and rolling. So, all right, see you later.
I'm getting Johnny Appleseed vibes. We have a very elaborate system of me standing at the end of the row so that he knows where to walk to. So hopefully we're getting a fairly even spread on this. You have to admire the dedication in this one. Look at this. It's almost like a little Zen exercise.
Hello, helper.
I came out to take a short video and then I was going to go back in the house and do some other stuff. And I'm still out here. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, the first pass was a little bit difficult, so I needed help. So you are carrying the bucket and I am scattering. We're teaming this.
I am the bucket hauler.
Wonderful.
Which is a job I've always wanted to have.
Well, we're 3/4 of the way through. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's a system of, get yourself a landmark at the distance and you walk towards the landmark, keeping you straight so you can just concentrate on I'm feeling super old-fashioned right now.
I have mad props to 18th century farmers.
Yes.
Holy crap, this is hard.
Well,
and this is the easier
hard because it's just this repetitive thing, and our bodies are not necessarily made for that.
But anyway, here we are. So you can see we're closer to the the right side, the northwest side of our property. So all of that land between us and the house, we have seeded, we have placed seed upon. So we have sown it. So
it has been sown.
It has been sown. So we have just a couple more passes and then I think I might be done for the day.
Yeah. It's hard on your wrists, it's for sure.
Well,
every tractor that I've seen go by, I just want to go,
yeah, and frankly, those beef ribs are not going to cook themselves. So we have that looking forward to.
That is true.
So, all right, onward and upward. Let's get back to it.
Bye. Of all the injuries that you thought you'd have as a homesteader, Warren.
Yes.
Was seed wrist one of them?
Seed wrist was not on my list of things that I thought I would have. But that is certainly one of the many things that is currently sore on me. Yes.
Yes.
So seed back, seed wrist, seed fingers. Yeah, it's holding seed, and this is an obscene gesture, but scattering the seed.
Well, that's another thing you won't be able to do for a while.
I know. Woe is me. Things you give up for your land, man.
Exactly.
Things you give up for your land.
So what we have left is probably
2 or 3
what would you
rows.
say, 3 passes maybe?
Yep.
And then hopefully
This part
will be done.
But we've done about 7,500 square meters. So just under 2 acres of land will have finished. Joder. Uf. Es demasiado.
Let's get to it.
Vale, vamos. All right, out here for seeding day 2. So we are currently about to embark. We actually have a spreader this time. So this was always the plans to have a spreader, but since it was, we were missing some parts on the last one, we had to wait for a new one to come in. And so the rest of this, which is about 8,500 square meters, we're going to be doing with this spreader. So we're going to get basically a tiny bit of land here. So you'll see all the way straight out, basically that big pole all the way to the very end where you see brown. Yeah, I'll be doing all that today. So that's the plan. Just put together this little bad boy, filled it up with seed, and I'm about to start spreading. So we will see how it goes. We'll check in later. Okay, here we are. It's been a couple hours, and I still have quite a bit left to do. So made about 2/3 of the passes needed in order to cover this field. So you can see my tiny little spreader out there. And then all this still, again, about 2/3 of the way out, need to continue to work on. So a lot of stuff left to do, but making good progress. In the distance, you may be able to hear a tractor. I think my neighbor is taunting me, just toying with me, showing me what can be done with the tractor. Oh, joy. Anyway, good progress. Feeling a little tired, but onward we go. Okay, here we are. The next morning, it is a slightly foggy and damp morning, mainly just from the fog, but you can see that all the stuff that is here in the shot right now, or is what I did yesterday. And then I am working on this little section here. Well, little in comparison to everything that we've done. So I'm making good progress. Pretty excited to get this all seeded, and then hopefully the farmer will be back today, at the latest tomorrow, in order to tamp it down, level all the ground, and have it so that this is basically our land, and we will be working to turn this area into pasture, and the area behind me that we did before by hand, this whole area into the food forest. So this whole area here we will plant with the trees and the bushes and ground cover. It'll be a labor of love and a long-term effort, but I'm pretty excited to get started and want to start putting the first things in the ground this weekend. So again, little by little, poco a poco. All right, off to plant some more seed. All right, we're back. The land has been completely seeded over the last few days, and we have gotten the farmer to come back, and he has tamped everything down. So this has been leveled and is prepared for essentially what will be us taking back the land. So we're going to be able to have half of it is planted with a kind of a grass mixture, and half is planted with just clover. The half with clover we're going to turn into a food forest, and the other half we're going to maintain as a pasture that we're going to use hopefully in the future for things like maybe sheep or goats or whatever animals we decide to get. But where you're looking at now, this is the area that will be pasture in the distance. And so today what we're going through is just cleaning up some of the work that he did around the edges of the pasture, just to make sure that it levels very nicely, because obviously later, once it dries and everything, we want to not have a bunch of ruts. So going through and just getting the edges cleaned up. And then you can see over here, if Betsy pans to her right, you'll see this is the area that'll all be food forest. And today we're going to start putting in our first trees. We're just going to start planting a couple trees in the food forest. And then at the edge of the garden, which if you pan to the left, you'll kind of see the garden. You can see the greenhouse in there. That is where we're going to have we need to have a windbreak on what is your left-hand side, because that's where the wind comes from in the spring. And so we want to make sure that we have that a little bit of a windbreak. So we're going to plant some things like some broom, magnolia, maybe some blackwood trees, a few things that grow really quickly and are nitrogen fixers so that we can get that established as quickly as possible. And then later we'll replace that with more long-term bushes and trees that'll be a permanent windbreak. But anyway, we have taken back the land, if you will, and we are in the process of a big, giant project. A little scary.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to make sure we document is the reason why we're worrying so much about the edges of this and getting all of that straight is that this land won't be tilled again. It won't be following kind of permaculture guidelines. This is it. And so we need to make sure how we end up with it this weekend is how it's going to be going forward.
It'll be much more complicated to do it by hand later when it's dried and it's been sitting for several months. Right now it's fairly loose soil, so you can actually dig into the soil right now. So I mean, and it's really amazing. Later it's going to compact itself over time just by use, just us walking on it, planting in it, and just as it rains it's going to get more and more. So we can till it, we can manually control it a little bit now, but later we're done.
That's it. That's why today's work is really important, setting the stage for future.
Woohoo!